How much history should you give in any lesson, be it a Sunday school or just a teaching session? How much information, how much history is too much, and how much is not enough? Let's talk about this. Join. History plays a vital part in all of our lessons, whether it's just public education or if it's just Sunday school, whatever the case may be. It is very important and it is vital. Welcome. I am Pastor Rodney Jones of the Rodney Jones Sunday School. I want to bring this episode to you. Oftentimes, we don't understand how much history is important. History has its place in every lesson, but I need you to know that there are sometimes too much history is just too much for the lesson. How much history is really important? Well, number one, let's look at the purpose of history. It is to give the background and the backdrop of the lesson. Number two, it helps us to find out where we are in the lesson. Number three, history lets us know the layout, the format, the backdrop, what's going on, who's talking, who are they talking to, what's the purpose of their talking, so on and so forth. However, it's vital to understand and to know how much history is just too much. I need you to know that there are two groups of people that needs history, but slightly different. Number one, it is the teacher. The purpose of the teacher knowing history is more in depth than the student, because the teacher studies history so that they can know the backdrop, the background, what's going on, who's talking, who they're talking to, and how long have they been in this situation. But also the teacher understands the backdrop or the history of this lesson so that they can know the angle to approach the lesson when they're teaching their student. When it comes to the student knowing history, all of the history that the teacher knows is not really vital or important for the student, because the student is not teaching the lesson. The student is receiving the lesson from the teacher. But there can be a case where you give too much information as far as history is concerned, and then all of your lesson is about history. For instance, did you not know when God says in 2 Chronicles 7:14, he says, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray, seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, he says, then I will hear from heaven. I need you to understand in the 6th chapter of that same book of the Bible, it was Solomon that prayed and asked God and said, if your people sin against you and find themselves in a foreign land or driven there because they have sinned, he says, if they turn toward the temple and pray, would you hear them from heaven? And God says, if my people, which are called by my name, if they would turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven. So in other words, there are 4 parts of the prayer or the answer of God to Solomon. And you can find all 4 of those petitions that Solomon put on the floor for God. Lastly, I need you to understand something. He says, I will heal their land. It is important that the THEIR, if that's how you spell there, it is important to know that he's talking about a specific group when he says, I'll heal their land. Not only that, but there's another thing. When you look in the book of Matthew, when you see Jesus is on the mount in the 5th chapter, we might have a lesson that takes us in the 7th chapter of that same book of the Bible. And let's look at the last verse. Well, did you not understand that from the 5th chapter all the way to the 7th chapter and the last verse, Jesus has not left his people, he has not left his post, he has not left his position, and he's still giving what's called the Sermon on the Mount. And so it is important for you, as you, the teacher, study the lesson that's in the 7th chapter and the 15th verse. You've got to study it with the history and the knowledge of knowing that this is part of an ongoing sermon or topic. My brothers and sisters, I thought I would throw that to you and let you know. And from the time to time, I will be coming back giving you some pointers to help you as you teach your lesson. Remember my motto: teaching the Word of God in the spirit of excellence. Peace.